Hey guys, Acesup here, and we are up to day 4, and I would say 1/3 through the session. Haven't had any good scores yet, but have built up a couple of stacks, got some potential. Got a lot of tables on the go. Have expanded out a bit in terms of the tables that we've got here, and because there is a lot on the go, sorry if, like right now, my thoughts kind of waver a bit. Just bear with me. Yeah, so we've fired up PokerStars. We have got $33 high-low bottom left and a $27 6 max. It's a progressive super knockout, which is interesting. And I've seen some crazy play. I've seen a lot of crazy play in general today. For example, have a look at this beauty. I re-click it back on the turn, and then of course he gets in on the river with the 7 high. Been a lot of hands going down like that. Been some pretty, if you ever see me make one of these strange plays against kind of a random, I mean, that's kind of why. I mean, the check raise turn on the gut shot, then call the re-raise and then shove the river is like, yeah, it's out there. 6. Yeah, I think 6. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and get some leverage with our stack here. The fact that it is the super knockout does change the dynamic a bit. And in this instance here, I mean, we don't really mind if the big blind had have jammed on us. In fact, you kind of wouldn't have been such a bad thing at all because we get the chance of the knockout and our hand has some equity, so it can never really be that bad. Bottom left, I think I'm just gonna call and then I think I'm gonna get it in now. We have the nut low and we have a pair, which could be, valuable. And in fact, we get the scoop. And I mean, players at this level play really loose in situations like that. And I've learned that actually. I know that, but I learned it today the hard way. I made a couple of what you would call discipline folds, and my opponents just rolled, pre-flop, and my opponents just rolled absolute trash, to my dismay. So, yeah, I mean, particularly in high-low, some of you probably know I've got a W Coupe bracelet in high-low, so I'm reasonably good at the game, and yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that you see, I mean, I just think it's way better than, I mean, the players are a lot worse in a lot of instances than they are at Hold'em, I think. You imagine a situation where let's say a guy gets it in pre-flop with, let's say Jack 7 off, and you're both kind of relatively deep. You don't really see that often, But you would see that in high-low quite a bit. Obviously, they don't have Jack 7 because they have 4 cards, but you know what I mean. The equivalent of that sort of hand would just be getting in. And, in high-low, it might be something like, Jack 9 5. 3-way deep, guy somehow gets his stack in. Queen 9 7 deuce or something, really just these crappy hands. I mean, particularly in high-low, it's a game that's more based on equity. There's less bluffing in general. Whereas, with 2 cards and only a high and hold'em, it's hard to make a good hand. So it opens the door for a lot of bluffing. But in high-low, someone usually has a bit of something going on. A little bit of something, as Daniel Negreanu would say. Got a little bit of something. So, hands like this in a good game are kind of marginal. Ace 2 7 9. Of course we've got the nut low draw with a flush, which is great. But if there's heavy action, it's not a good hand because you're going to be up against hands like Ace King 5-2 and stuff that have you dominated. So definitely just want to pot here. We've got a massive draw, obviously. We have the nut flush draw and the nut low draw. You could almost bet smaller, I guess, and try and get value, just because even though we're probably very unlikely to have the best hand at that point. We just have so much equity in the pot that, I just don't think it can ever be, you just can't really play the hand that bad at that point. The button, 3 bets. I saw a guy just jamming every hand before in the this $27 six max, and it actually got me using a limp strategy, where I would limp in, and then a lot of the times he would just jam, and I eventually had ace queen and called, and he had 9-10 off, and that's how I got a lot of these chips. Some of the other tourneys that we got going on at the moment is a $8 rebuy, $22 super knockout, $11 3K guaranteed, a $26 5K guaranteed on full tilt, and a couple other little ones on the go here that we shall bring in if we meet any unfortunate circumstances or situations in this 4 tourneys that you see here. Yeah, I don't think we can really go wrong getting this in against what I was just saying about the looser ranges. That's kind of a loose, ace, king, queen, 4, that's a loose get in. That's the sort of thing I'm talking about, It's not terrible, but, he's got an early position. Was I early? I don't know, but he's got a raise and a call. His hand's probably going to be in not have very good equity, but at the same time, he's short, so that's why I said it's not going to be terrible. It's a very small tourney though. We're actually chip leader at the moment, but it's only 500 for first, so it was a 33 buy-in, so. But I think it's pretty good value, the high-low. The thing about the high-low, I think, is the equity plays more of a role, which makes it actually a lot better than Omaha High, because a lot of times when players get in a bad hand, if they're getting in a hand like, they get like Queen 10-9, 5 with a suit, and they get it in against you, and you've got ace 6 deuce or something, they're not that big a dog. So they're never really making a huge mistake. Whereas in high-low, they can be making huge mistakes. And often do. In situations where they have just really poor equity. Where they're just, only playing for the high and they've got a pretty marginal hand sort of thing, I think I'm just going to pot it bottom left. And I think I'm just going to call. Well, actually, I'd probably just get it. What should I do here? Yeah, I think I'm just going to call. It's a little bit messy, but he's pretty short, and our hand is pretty decent. Well, at least I thought it was decent until I see his hand. But I think blind on blind, you know, that's not too bad. I'm just gonna just under 2.5x bottom right here. These guys are got kind of jammy stacks button in the small blind. Be good to get a little jam happening here, but unfortunately that guy tank folded. This guy calls, so that's good. He's in small blind, so he's probably got. I mean, he can have, I guess, a king jack, jack queen, 10 jack, small pairs and stuff. He could check back this flop. Could definitely check it back. Might even be more EV if we know that this guy has a propensity to barrel. Well, not barrel, I should say, but just fire away when he sees a check. And, you know, he might be a candidate for that because he does have 68% C betting and 75% double barrel, which is particularly high on the double barrel, I think. So we'll just call there. And I'm just going to fire a small C bet here. And that guy just snap folds and oops. And that's pretty common. Yeah, that's pretty common where they just call and try and hit and then fold. Profit later. As opposed to initial profit on the 3-bet. This guy looks like he might actually have an ace and just be trying to get value. He could have something like 9s and just think, well, this guy's only in big blind. Defends. He's going to call my raise pretty wide. I'm not sure I believe him. And the other option, of course, is that he once in a while has a monster, but you know, skeletons in the closet. We're not counting on that. Most of the time, we're going to have him. You know, we're going to have the best hand here, so there's no reason why we shouldn't go for value. And he did have that sort of hand where he just did not want to fold for all the whiskey in Ireland. And I think that's just a case where, you know, players, I think, they get a bit caught up in the dynamic where it's, you know, blind versus blind. Yeah, we haven't 3-bet pre, but we can still have ace 2, ace 3, 4, 5, pocket 2s, pocket 3s. Are we going to really, you know, fire 3 barrels with nada? You know, because he only beats absolutely nothing. And, you know, can we have hands like ace 10? Ace 9 would have been 2-pair on the river. And, you know, I'd probably play those hands, ace 9, ace 10. Ace 8, I'd probably play all those hands the same. Ace 8, I don't know what to do with ace 8 on the river. I'm probably going to, well, ace 8's pretty close. I mean, if we could bet the river thinking that sometimes he calls reverse and sometimes he folds off, we fold him off a chop. I guess. Could think along those lines. kind of like two opposites, like saying, okay, he might fold better and he might call with worse, but you know, I didn't really know much about that opponent, but the point is that, you know, he can make mistakes. Whereas by betting, it's only really a mistake by us if he's trapped us with a big hand, which I think he's only done a small percentage of the time. It's pretty unlikely. You know, so the bet's going to be profitable, and then it's kind of determined by him how profitable it's going to be. You know, if he's going to sometimes call really wide, then it's going to be super profitable, or if he's folding too tight, it's going to be super profitable. But obviously in the case like that, he called really loose, and obviously we had a really strong hand for the situation. And you know, I don't necessarily mind the way he played it with the flop check and that, maybe, but I just don't think he can ever call river. You know. Excuse me, guys. Almost over this cough. Yeah, so we've got the 2 stacks there going now, and top left as well. I mean, that's average is 11, so got chances. Pretty good spot here, bottom right. I think just 3-betting because this guy's got the tablet mark, and so, you know, he might actually just call to see a flop. He might 4-bet thinking that maybe he even has fold equity. Obviously, a good player knows when they open at M. Well, actually, you know, that's not quite true because he's M8, so he does actually. We could actually be 3-betting him to fold, I guess. Actually, at M8. But it's kind of right on the cusp, isn't it? And normally in that, if I'm 3-betting at that stack size, I'm calling. But I will, if I think the guy's opening, you know, wide enough. Obviously, I'll put in a 3-bet. Certainly. I don't think snap just going to tank for a minute. Yeah, we could just snap it in, but I think tanking, you know, just to give the impression that we had more of a decision rather than snapping it in just looks so strong that it's, you know, 3-way, more chance that we sort of get run down, but at the same time, we got to get some chips somehow. And I think that's one of the adjustments I've really made, or the thing that I've really been, you know, zoning in on a bit in this last session, where I feel I have improved a little bit. Well, quite a bit actually, since my first session a few days ago. I really feel I'm getting the sort of MTT feel back a bit, where kind of understanding that you do need to take risks, especially at, you know, opportune times. With the Jack 9 there, wow. Yeah, you do need to even though we have an edge over the average sort of fish, it's rarely going to be just oh, that's such a bad card, top left. I guess I'm going to check. I guess you could have ace queen some of the time, but we obviously have 10 high and no folding. And it's just a pity the 10 or the flush didn't come. Was it 9 or the flush didn't come in? He could have had ace queen there, I guess, and Actually, just thought he has to bet to rep the king. Probably a bet that I would probably make with or without the king. Because it does look, his hands kind of face up as ace-king. But he could have had ace-queen as well. It's kind of the same sort of thing. And I think our hand, you know, if it had a bricked out river, I was definitely betting. And, you know, he may have hero called if he did have ace-king. If he had top set, it certainly wouldn't fall into the category of hero call. But and yeah, I'm gonna fire, I guess, yeah. Calling again here, we're getting sort of 20 to 1. It's not a great situation, obviously. We are we're out of position, but I think 5-6 suited. It's just a little bit too. It's just a little bit too good to be folding. Getting 20 to 1. You know, the problem is that he checked back before, and if he is one of those guys that kind of checks back, then you know, it's not great, because it's going to be hard to get value. You know, and in that instance there, if we had flopped, say, I don't know, king high board, and we flop bottom 2 or something, you know, it's just kind of hard to always get. You know, and then if the turn's an ace, or if it flush hits or something, you know, he just seems like he's playing a little bit careful, is what I'm trying to say. And so since he's kind of playing a little bit careful, and he is late position, and he did just 3-bet his last hand as well, so maybe he's aggressive, and the stats say that he's aggressive. So in that instance, when we're speculating, we're not always getting his stack, and so that's a concern for our implied odds for sure. I think I will just go ahead and raise this guy here. And I think top left, just a small c-bet. And here I'm going to bet 2. Very dry flop. I think Scud looks like he doesn't fold. We don't have that, only a couple of hundred hands on him. Looks like he doesn't really fold to that many c-bets. But at the same time, this board is really dry. It's hard for him to kind of represent too much. And he did tank call, which is interesting. I think he may have floated sometimes here with just the ace or king high. And so with that in mind, I guess I'm going to call here now, and probably call down now. If he did, I mean, he's going to have a flush some of the time. Like I said, it looks like he doesn't really fold to many bets, and he doesn't. You know, he's got 9-10, so that would certainly fall into the category of not folding to many bets. And that's just one of the advantages of the hard. You know, we just know that he seems like a sort of a prolific floater, and it kind of made sense with the way he sort of tanked, and then, you know, bet turn, bet river, kind of looked like a flush or nothing, and you know, we just had every reason to call, really.